just so you know, when I go to screen record, it pulls up some odd things sometimes that I might have been working on. For example, I went back to COVID time on the global warming thing. I wanted to see that the global warming, when everybody was locked down, the ozone layer was doing about the same work it was doing in current day, 2021 and 2020. But oh no, they wouldn't let us have that data. I can go May 31st, and then I can go to June 31st in 2021, but I can't find May 31st at this time. So I can't overlay for you guys a one-to-one month because they control the data. They know they don't want some jerk like me doing an overlay going, haha, everybody on lockdown. Look at the this would talk about global warming. This would talk to that. I'm working on that in the background. Maybe I can find a different source that somebody published and then they rechanged it. So I'm gonna work on that. With that said, because I may make fun of different things, but I still like to try to debunk myself or prove the data. Let the data fall where it falls. Now, with that said, North Tower versus South Tower, as the older gentleman here says. I said gentleman because I call him an older man, and that's kind of people don't want to be called old. So the towers are different. All right, they tell you the towers are the same. They are the same in drawings, but they're not the same in actual installation. For example, this is, and I get it backwards. Yes, guys, I'm dyslexic with saying triangle when I mean, um, I said diamond when I meant triangle. I say north when I mean the south sometimes. I do that. Hell, hand me that damn, that thing there, and you show your hand waving the hammer. It's the way my brain works. It's too fast sometimes. I'm like, I'll look down here and instead of saying car, I know it's not a car, so I'll say the vehicle. It's a vehicle for sure. We know it's a truck, but I'll try to adjust for that, or I'll say, look up here. This is showing the similarities. Now, this scupper out here it's very critical. A guy in Portugal, architect in Portugal, I think, quite a people from Portugal chiming in. So I wanted to give him credit to his comment about there are no downspouts to this scupper. This scupper is sacrificial. Is water if the roof was overflowing, the drains were clogged. This would overflow and water would shoot out here, telling you that you have a clogged roof. And that's what the design intent of that is. But more so, let's look at the roof line here. Look, 1, 2, roof, 1, 2. Wait a minute, 1, 2. This is more like the design of the structure that are in the drawings. This doesn't have the upper one extra 3 floors of penthouses added to it. So we can start to go back in time and do some extrapolation here. Remember they got called out on their extra floors and they stopped and a week later they said proceed. Well, it appears that this building, maybe they've been built at the same time, didn't make it as far as the other building because we're not looking at 5 layers of penthouses. Here we're looking at more like a one-to-one drawing, and yet this was the second building to be completed. I want to say it's the north one, south one. I don't care. That's too, I really don't care. I know you guys can correct me on it. I'm not the one doing my intent is what my intent is why it doesn't matter to me. There's a column, okay, floor plan. There's a column that's support building, basement, typical floor plan dimensions. Looking for the garage. And for people who say, "Oh, you don't prepare and all that," this is the way I perform. I'm going to do what I used to do because some guy reminded me. Why don't you give him your old link of your, pay money, PayPal? I think, oh my gosh, I forgot I used to do that with the trolls. I used to say, here, hit this for me, and give them my link to my PayPal. That's how I used to handle the trolls. There's the column there, the overlay. But so you'll see that again. I'm not asking for any of my regular supporters to donate. I do appreciate like a few of you guys that automatically send me $1 and even $5 a month is like a few of you like $30 worth or something, 25. You're very much appreciated. I want you to know that. And if you want to stop, I won't take offense. If you decide you don't want to support me, or you forgot that you were supporting me, and it's going there, and you've changed your mind about supporting me, no harm, no foul. Please, and you can write me. And if you feel like you stopped supporting me 3 months ago, I'll send you back your money. I know what it's like to be in your shoes too. Maybe you change your mind, and I want you to know that I'll give you back your money if you think I really crossed one of your files, your conclusive files, that you wish you never gave me $1. I'll give you back every single dollar, because I know what it's like. I mean, I can understand your position. I do cross people sometimes. All right, so it comes down here. Here's a column here. Now, is there another column there? This wrong floor. So everybody else says, you're not prepared. This is the way I do it fluidly for the viewers. There's another column there. So if you return, how is the parking arranged? Well, we had a parking arrangement. I'm in the structural plans, but we had a parking arrangement in here somewhere. I don't know if it was structural or not. Oh, I don't recall. Those are the ties. No. They did extensive work. Again, I'm repeating myself so you guys can remember that they did do extensive work on the structure in '02. There's the engineer. Somebody mentioned something about looking for the tile in the comments there. AquaShield Surfside. AquaShield, I believe, is the contractor that did all that work under the supervision of that engineer and his company. Their company. So these buildings, wrong side, brilliant. The other side, I wanted the south side. Oh, this is the report. This is what this was. The presentation trying to show that this building caused this collapse. This building was completed 2020. So this collapse took over a year for this building to collapse after the completion of this building, but yet they started on the foundations a long time ago, long time before that. Now I'm not discounting. That took. So in other words, their narrative saying it was a 2-year delay before the collapse. If you use this narrative of Surfside, because I'm saying it's Surfside's narrative. This is published on their link. And so if you use their narrative, it's called sour grapes. In psychology, it's called sour grapes, sweet lemons. So they're sorry that they gave this guy permission to restore that structure. At the same time they gave him permission to extend out to here. This was a street, I believe, right here at one point, and he was able to purchase the access rights to it to close it off, as I understand, for some untold, some millions, some told millions, and then he closed it off, and this is what got these people upset too. And he took more river encroachment past the plain here. He did pay for that, but that was part of the original. If you rebuild, you get to come out here, and it wasn't, the if part wasn't so clear. Just they gave it to him a permit, so he decided that building was structurally unsound to work with. So he built this one and still kept the rights to move forward. Hey, that's their town. They gave them the wrong, and now it looks like, because they're posting this, it looks like sour grapes, sweet lemons. So you're upset now the guy used his own angle. They could have stopped him in time if they didn't know what was going on. But just like they stopped Surfside when they came down to the drainage, they extorted Surfside into giving them paying half of the water connection sewage repairs at the tune of $200,000. It was total $400,000 back then, and they made them pay $200,000 for the upgrade. That's typically happens a lot in construction with developments. They'll come out and they'll say, well, this is you now need to do a traffic light. You're going to pay for it. You need to do a turnaround here. You need a shoulder here. It's typically done extortion style during construction, that they wait till you get so committed to the job. They don't want to overwhelm you with fees ahead of time. They wait till you get committed, and then all of a sudden they get the bright ideas of, oh yeah, this would be safer for the entrance, this would be safer for that. But most contractors, developers know that that's going to happen now, so they already pre-plan for that and demand that they nip it in the bud by saying, look, we're having water drainage by our own little retention pond, and overflow system would be this much. They really calculate now. They try to save the cash. Someone got upset because they moved the arrow over here. Well, yes, if you change your narrative, you guys wouldn't like it if I said no more than you guys would like to say, look at this arrow, hit the end of this building over here. That caused it to shake over there. You would say that's lunacy. The arrow doesn't even go over there. Well, that's the same thing I say here. Facts matter. You guys that don't like it and are pissed off, you obviously have the narrative that you like, the Surfside's narrative. With that said, I'd like to give you my link for donations, and then I'll follow your train of thought better. So facts matter, right? With me, I always try to make every single piece of fact fit, including following the two reports now where the one lady changes her statement a little bit, and you can change your statement as you recall things. Let's go to to your far right. We'll get to Phil Scott again, but let's go to the structure again. They're not the same, but you can see the scale of the
garage shows
the parking garage.
No signs of cracking.
It shows no signs of cracking. Well, that's a hell of a statement. It says it shows no signs of cracking. You can say it shows no cracking, but to say it shows no signs of cracking is false.
No exposed rebar. No.
I'm reading something. Hold on.
Water. And the pump designed to pump water from the garage.
All right. Does that look like it's overflowing? I don't see it overflowing. I see a white wall with no stains on it. I see an electrical panel about that height. So people saying you got 4 foot of water, well, they would be shorting out their own damn panel.
New. Waterproofing.
This is also, let me back up just a hair. This design is slightly different than the other one. This inside corner is radiused.
Moisture and balcony deck has been overhauled. Water from the garage is brand new.
That's radiused. Whereas these are setback in the other structure. So they said they were built at the same time, but apparently they had time to do this the proper way. And also, this radius has really got me. This is in plane with the front of this building.
Waterproofing.
It's in plane with the front of that building with no setback. It's a different thing. This has got an overhang. I don't see a column there. And this would be a column here, I believe, and this would be your infill of like block. If I can follow this line up, I would say right here, I'd probably get a 16 by 16 going all up to the roof with some infill of blocking or some materials.
On the pool deck has been overhauled. From the garage is brand new. Waterproofing on the pool deck.
The pool deck orientation also is a little bit different than the orientation of the other one. You see the pool deck facing that way? Our pool deck was over here. So it's disingenuous for these people to say this stuff. Now, this ties me into Phil's comment. Let's jump over to Phil. Phil, you get around two in comments. I read your comment. Phil, it's grammatically hard for me to read, but I not because I'm I'm terrible with the in a grammatic sense, but getting its inference. Setting aside what we see from the actual fat-headed jerks in business. So let's talk about Phil down. Let's jump down here. I was called to testify before the U.S. Congress on these very same issues in our nuclear weapons labs in 1994 through 95 regarding their Hanford Nuclear Reservation in western Washington State, now being torn down 25 years later, and with its criminal behavior forced to put on public display for 1 year after my testimony. My thanks and limitless gratitude goes to Karen Silkwood. See the movie. So you guys, Phil is he's got his own Phil is Phil. You guys got to look him up and we'll follow Phil. Put your link in there, Phil. Phil loves HVAC systems, if I recall right, things like that. Patent and things like that. Anyway, So setting aside right and shown the practice of 70% pass or PE. That's what you know. You know what they call a doctor who graduates last in their class? So you guys have any idea what they call a doctor who graduates last in their class? They call that person, oh, doctor. So you still get called doctor. All right. So you guys spend more time worried about, what have you done to architects, but you go to your doctors and you don't ask your doctor, how'd you graduate in your class? What are you doing currently in continuing in ed? What makes you such an expert on what you're talking about to me? Where did you get the data from? You don't do that, but you guys don't mind coming over to channels and hounding, hounding, and yet you don't do this for your structures, your own buildings. You assume that because it's standing, it's perfectly okay. So let's go here. Irrelevant in many aspects. And the meaning of the test, some of the testing is just, it's like the electrical engineering test. A lot of these guys that become electricians, they don't have to worry about any of the stuff they have to worry about anymore. They got different levels of becoming certified electricians now or licensed. And it's very interesting. I would pass a few of those tests now. Electrical test, and that's amazing. And even the plumbing test, I would pass with my current knowledge. That's interesting. But you need 5 years of 10. You need an exemption or 5 years. And I could probably get the exemption, but I'd have to call in a favor, and then that would look odd. And the prior flawed to the core education, right? The failure to test key. So I just work under other people's licensed electricians and plumbers. That's no big deal. And failure to test relevant issues and allow paid training on what the answers to the questions are is what Congress called near criminal level incompetence. And hearing on the first space shuttle disaster, that was just crazy. So, and that was Congress back then when Congress might have been a little stronger, not Congress current day. Now so guys, so I'm talking about installation wise, not engineering wise, or on plumbing electrician. Without such rigor, sorry, my brain. Without such rigor, we get good people slowly dying in the worst possible way under piles of rubble, as gargling their own blood, because of some faker like the FIU dude who's teaching his fake BS attitude to young engineers, a crime against humanity and the intellect, and it's pause. This rots a nation from the inside out, and that would be where is he? I'm gonna move over. I'm trying to find him. All right, so she says this is a witness. She saw a cracking, I think. Right?
A supernatural force, she says, woke her up.
I feel like strange. And I run to my living room.
And there she spots a crack, snaking its way down a wall.
Something inside of me said, run, because this building will collapse.
She races, barefoot, toward a staircase by the elevator.
So, the amygdala woke her up because it heard something that's not normal, a vibration, etc. That supernatural thing she said. That's the amygdala. The amygdala never sleeps. It's always awake. It's always paying attention to surroundings. If you smell, and so it heard the vibration, woke her up. She went into the room. She saw this crack. She took on the data. The data had nothing to do that was natural. Amygdala she processed the data that this building is separating from itself, made a conclusive file that this building is collapsing. She was right.
Elevators.
And I start going down fast. And I feel crack.
And she also says supernatural. You got to realize that she just made it. So even though she had amygdala, it took her amygdala about 6 minutes, let's say. I don't know how long it took her. She's just running from her building to the door to get into that elevator and make it down to where she made it. But the building collapsed while she was inside the staircase. and that would be the one to the existing staircase, obviously. So the obviously. So then that shows you her amygdala delay in her sleeping mode was probably a good 5 minutes, because I understand that, or it took 5 minutes for it to for the cracking to be making to her room for her to get the data.
Crack, crack, crack.
As she emerges on the ground floor,
Over here.
a security guard is there, helping the grandmother of 3 climb over walls.
So the security guard is there. So that would tell me the collapsing was so sudden at that point that even the security guard was still there in the building. He didn't jet. So, okay.
He helped her escape.
And for her son, Andres Alvarez, the magnitude of his mom's decision
3 seconds.
only hit him, he says, when he called her about 2 days later.
All right, so we'll get rid of that one, and then we'll go to this one. Okay, so they skirted local codes with penthouses. Well, we talked about that some time ago when I did a video on that. I think I might have been the first to talk about those penthouses there in the videos. But it was beautiful how they got around it. It's all about revenue. Let's see. Okay, I got to refresh the page. This link is like a day old or something for me. Bringing it up. Here we go. Right. The penthouses that wasn't part of the original plan, the review town board. Plan submitted to developer. Oh, we already know about this one. So we know about this. Okay. The tower rooftop apartments would have added significant weight, but they were accounted for in the revised design, said Roberto Leon, a professor of construction engineering at Virginia Polytechnic Institute of State University, who reviewed the building plan. So he's a construction engineer here, right? The structural plans show that the size of the columns and reinforcement would have been typical for that time. Remember, this is 1976 building codes. And the roof would have had limited ability to redistribute the building's load if one of the columns were to fail, he said. And the roof would have had limited ability to redistribute the load. So he's saying it would have been an overhang capacity that would have that it would act as hangers, the columns connected to the roof. I find that a hell of a reach, because I did not see the reinforcement detail of that roof that would show that. In fact, you get the overhangs acting would be part of the tipping force. The tipping force that would take it the other direction, over towards where we see the collapse. So, Robert Leon, a professor. We got another professor who is just wanting to chime in to be part of this report, I guess, Fox News here. The structural plans show that the side of the columns and the reinforcement would have been typical for that time. And the roof would have had ability to redistribute the building's load if one of the columns failed, he said. Okay, so let's reevaluate that. He said if one. Let's use it literally as one. And he doesn't say where. You know, redistribute it from the top, the single column failure at the roof only, maybe. But at the lower part where the loads are even greater on that column, no. We already know that per the video. So I find this very, I try to debunk myself. If you do, and so debunking myself, I would say at the roof, one column at the roof, it could failure that's not total failure, but he said failure. Maybe it could reach, the steel could still hold it, no load being above on top of that roof, but there is load on top of the roof. I don't know where, he'd have to be specific on which column it is, very specific. And it would have to be a part of the roof that doesn't have the load of the AC units, etc. So, very specific. He'd have to be very specific on that. So back to Phil Scott saying, and these people become professors. And of course, the Fox News doesn't know what to question, who to question. Now, here's something I like to throw out there. I think all bridge repairs, all structures should be thrown into the public's eye and allow everyone and all engineers and schools to go over the plans. Yes, it exposes it to terrorism looking at it, but if they get up to no good, they can find it without that. Without that, they can figure it out without needing the plans. So, but it would find defects, and then you leave it out there for say 8 months. It's the same thing they do with the computer programs, where they throw it out to the hacker, saying for the next 8 months you won't be considered a hacker, and they throw a bounty out there. If you can find how to beat our system, we'll pay you, $10,000, $50,000, and they throw it out there and they let the hackers go at it for free, not considered hacking for the next 8 months. Well, the same thing with these plans. Throw them out there and allow a bounty to take place to see who can find the defects. And you'll get free engineering from around the world going at it. Okay. Both South Florida developers in the 1980s frequently sought workarounds in the height rules. Okay, this was happened all the time with everybody, right? Miami developers in general often fail to consult engineers on late changes to building design, said Tom Hentz, a mechanical engineer who has worked in the city since 1970. He was part of the team of engineers who inspected Champlain Towers in 2018, but didn't examine the building's structural safety and wasn't involved in its initial construction. So he's a mechanical engineer, so he checked out the mechanicals. So let's back away. We're going to wrap it up soon with I have no idea. Oh, I want to watch that. I want to take a break. This is the Altoid, look at his name. Come on, I'm going to make fun. He's the chair of the FIU College of Engineering and Computing. Let's go to my troll. Where's my troll at? Where the hell is my troll? I got a troll here that says health of review. Okay. The troll says that I say, stop trying to baffle people with bullshit. The first half fell the same way the second half fell. All right. Controlled demolition. Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. The video is still up. Okay, this is Lucy saying that guy still left the video up. She's applying to somebody else saying that I should go watch the building non-integrity. So he left it up, and then somebody sent me his comments where he put down there saying why he's leaving it up now. He's leaving it up purely for financial reasons, because he's okay. Let me top you out with this. He stated he's a professional witness in many of incidences, right? I'm going to show you why you don't leave that up. So you stated you're a professional witness in many of incidents, in many trial. Now, you're a professional witness. You show up again. For him to show up again, I simply bring up as the other counter person. I bring up your video. What is this? What do you call this? Do you remember when you rushed to judgment and said this was post-tensioning? So you're an engineer for X time, many years, and you can't identify post-tensioning or steel. You can't tell the difference between the two, and then just go at him. You'd be allowed to discredit the professional witness using his own video content by saying, now show us again where you believe the post-tension anchors were. You'd be able to slow it down and make him go over every single bit. Tell us about post-tensioning, everything. He would as a professional witness, you'd be able to pound him in the ground, and then say, Your Honor, we'd like you to throw out this guy. He's not a professional witness. And if the Honor said yes, it's too late. It's still the jurors heard how this guy makes false conclusions, and then instead of changing it, you go in time. Then they could find my video calling him out on it. And then they could find where he tries to make up excuses for why he's going to keep the rest of the video because of the data that was in there is what he wrote. Oh, I'm keeping it because of the other points. Well, too late. It doesn't matter the other points. The point is you made a major structural collapse difference on this structure. You made a long video of how this building collapsed. And you've got, 500,000 people believing it because they're still coming over here telling me that it's post-tension failure and I should watch that other guy's channel. His video's still up. Hold on, I'm trying to find the other troll. There's a long audio. I've only made it so much into it. The fire company's overwhelmed. Can't believe what they're seeing. That's about the size of it. Oh, there was somebody saying triangle, not diamond. This person can't read in the comments. I said I have a little bit of dyslexia, so I triangle diamond. That I corrected that, and it's all about intent. So, you know, I make fun of myself with it. Also, I have a sense of humor about that. Oh, I will look at all your links. I do look at them, and sometimes I get data out of them, sometimes I don't. So the legislation is already there. They're already building codes. All right, there's already licensing requirements. So Kim, no, I think one of the ways that would do it would be allowed to open it to the public, and then as you're building a high rise, that you must publicly film it and put it out for the public to see it. So the public can also comment saying, "Hey, we see them doing this wrong," and they could ask questions while they're building it. Really be critiqued by the public, saying things like, "Where's the testing? Where's the core samples? What? It's 100 degrees out, and they're pouring that concrete. They're doing that concrete, and there's no cover. They're walking away." You need that public scrutiny that would work. It would be free, and it would also progress engineering and quality and people's education, that they would know what to look for. So it would that would do it, to have an open eye. You saw my video where I do content where I show the building being worked on, and then I point at all the defects, and they even say, look, it looks like this is not going to be fixed, or this is acceptable now. I put it out there. Back to Phil Scott, because I'm going to end it with Phil Scott, I believe. And showing the practice of 70% pass-fail, right? This is very important. I'm not a fan of Chinese government at all, but they will cut a man's gonads off, then have him shot for this sort of behavior. They lock up billionaires for talking bad about the government there. They don't play around. Instead of teaching an actual engineering principle, unvarnished and cold turkey in these life and death issues, follow Elon Musk's advice to simply try to be less wrong, instead arrogantly 100% right, which is not even possible. So Elon Musk is arrogant. I think he's having a twist there on fun. I want to do this, since I'll throw this in there. If you look at the failure here, how they make this fail, they cause this. Remember I said I had a problem with this interaction back here? How are they going to do that? Well, they just let this collapse and it pulls it over. Let's do that. And we'll see. I'm fast forwarding frames. And we'll see it at the far right, bottom right. It's going to come up. Yeah, I'm pressing it. Oh, there we go. No, I should have been there by now. All right, so you see the collapse here. So those first three columns, this whole section here I talked about, this came out, and then the series go over this direction, but this they pull over. They let it pull over. Because right there you see no explosion happening, and you see this structure here is already, from that point, is our pivot point down. So there's no deflection happening by its base being kicked out. Then it's being ripped. You see the fractures happening, and that's the fractures I showed you in the front of the building. The fractures happen here, and then the fractures propagate across the face. There's your fractures. There's this transferring to this floor, and now it's going to rip this. Really? How come you aren't letting me? Oh, there we go. Let me see, zoom in a little more. And there's those fractures I talk about that start developing as this gets pulled over. This wall is pretty nice looking wall. That floor goes over to that floor. It's also coming forward on us now. It's rotating forward. So that's that rotation outwards. Remember, we had a clockwise rotation inwards. So the tension, the cracks now, if we could see the other side, would be pulling over there, opening up, and compression on this side. There's our development of our deck fractures, but these would be compression and not tension fractures there. And let's watch it go again. At that point, it's now in tension. The columns down below are no longer integral with the piers, the base, and it's pulled apart. They're sheared apart from there. Pull out. And now it's rolling over. It's rolling over pretty good here. These are all in tension still. See, if you look deck to deck, these are all connected still. So there is no total progressive collapse. We're at let's see if this is straight up, we call it plumb. 45's here. So 45 would be here. So I would say we're about 5 or 10 degrees, maybe about 7. It's also pulling back towards this direction, so they're supported. It's still supported by this section here. This is not collapsed yet. It's the rotation still taking place on the building. Impact of second or third floor starting to happen now. And this is absorbing the shock, decelerating the structure. I just want to show you the difference in that rotation and what you're getting. I still see the floors together, still held the column, still holding together in tension. Eventually the compression forces are going to push back. There's that roof line. That's going to be a good roof line. I have not evaluated this in the slow motion like this with you guys before. Sorry, I'm pressing forward. Okay, she rolled all the way over now. All that rolled all the way over this structure here. I would consider that a full rollover. I mean, I think it's pixelating and that's dust, but I think that's still there. Yeah, until impact. All right, that was kind of cool. All right, back to this guy. Let's see what he says.
This
a little
is day 10, almost. 10 days ago, almost, this tragedy took place.
Yes, this tragedy took 10 days ago. Do you remember seeing him come forward with the FIU bridge walkway collapse? No. Let's see what he said about it.
And seemed like every day we have had more.
Oh, and that was his baby. So that was the troll comment about he's not the engineer that designed the structure or something of that nature. I get your intent. That's your intent. But the problem is he's the engineer, head of the school, that can clearly had access to those drawings and evaluation. And now this one, he's armchairing it like we're doing here. And here's his statement, but nothing about his own damn bridge.
Evidence is coming to the surface from the different sources. And naturally, the more evidence is coming
from different sources, right? That includes my jerk cell.
To the surface, the more theories are coming out, both from actually engineers and non-engineers. As I have said before, I think we need to be patient. We need to give times to the investigator who are investigating this issue because they have the access to all the evidences and they're going to be able to tell us. But as I have said before, at the end of the day, I don't believe we are going to be able to say that only one factor caused. Maybe one factor break the camel's back.
Maybe one factor break the camel's back. That's correct. One factor would be explosives. All right, guys? That's one factor. That's it. But it's a progressive collapse, so you cannot just say one factor. The only one factor would be explosives. So this is a nonsensical statement. All right. I drove to your house, and you see me pull up in my car, and get out the car. You don't have to tell me that. I think you drove here. That's common sense.
But I think many factors interplayed and created the so-called perfect storm.
All right. This is just. Listen, it's tension and compression. That's how we get our failures. Tension and compression, out of equilibrium. So we already have enough witness data. There's tension in the deck, but that's because the either it was overloaded, incorrectly designed, And then we have deterioration of the reinforcement at the lower part of the deck and lack of repairs. Lack of repairs is very critical because this thing lasted 30-something years. See, I said bridge instead of building. 30-something years it lasted, and it could have lasted longer had they just kept maintained it. Even with the defects that they had, punch shear, yes, was what happened after the deck butterflied, but with that insufficient punch shear material up there, it still didn't punch shear on its own. It didn't wait 40 years and through creep, they call it, just punch shear around the columns instantly. I think that the deck fell between the columns, and then you get that butterflying going on. At that point, it's a simple ripping off of the column, punching through the column through shear, wrapped around the column, and then down it goes, overloading each column to the building and then underneath of the building and going over. Let's listen. Oh, that lady. She says that, where is she? She says it opened up in a void. This one is important. That a void opened up when she was in the lobby, right? Let's see if it allows me to find void. How about open? My fingers have dyslexic. As I was standing in the lobby, I saw the parking lot of the building collapse like an abyss that is opened up beneath it. She recalled. I was in shock. My thought was that these noises are not renovations. This is an earthquake. All right, so she saw that flooring open up. I don't know the lobby and her viewpoint of saying that, but you can find this under the comments or this is on the Motherscape with children right before Surfside Tower fell. Let's this is an amazing story with some weird stuff going on here. I must mention this. She left the room by herself to go down and complain to the lobby. Right? She returned to her home. I was sitting in the office going through emails. All right. So she was going at 12:30. So at 12:30, I was sitting in the office going through emails and I started hearing noises. So at 12:30, 1 hour before the collapse, this building the structure started tearing and ripping apart at 12:30. So let's say that her story is the most telling of all witnesses. She was awake, alert, working on emails. Interesting enough, emails are in the cloud, so she can prove her statement about emails, opening them, etc. Timeline. All right, and that's what right. I started hearing noises. She told the COL news website, COL right here. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Let's say Nur. Described the noises as sounds like construction knocks, and was disturbed that they were making so much noise late hour with her son and daughter fast asleep in nearby rooms. Okay, so this data is great. She thought it was construction. Who did not show up on this website? See what I mean? I got dyslexic a little bit. I really do have that issue. Who did not show up on this job site? OSHA did not show up on this job site, guys. So we know there's no workers there. All right, so OSHA was not there. There were no workers taking place there. All right. Nur described the noise and sounds, as again, pronunciation is incorrect. Construction knocks, unless I nailed it. And was disturbed that they were being made at such a late hour with her son and daughter fast asleep in nearby rooms. They're older. The son's like 25 or some shit. I thought someone had decided to renovate their apartment in the middle of the night, she said. At first I ignored it. But a few minutes later, I came upset about it and left the apartment. So at 12:30, a few minutes later, let's call it 12:40, she leaves the apartment. She went to the lobby of the building where she met the security guards sitting in the entrance. She reported about the noise and asked him to call the police to make a complaint. We don't know if he made the complaint, but that's at 12, let's say 12. It's not a time of collapse because look, as I was standing in the lobby, I saw the parking lot of the building collapse like an abyss that has opened up beneath it. So yes, we have the video of the collapsed floor 8 minutes before the collapse. The video, but did the collapsed floor happen around 12:40 was there even a longer time window for this collapse to take place? She says minutes later she went down the lobby. I mean, you can have it at minutes later, not half an hour later. I mean, minutes would be what, 10 minutes? You finally get irritated? 15 minutes? She said minutes later. And here we go. I was standing in the lobby. I saw the parking lot of the building collapse like an abyss and open up beneath it, she recalled. I was shocked. My thought was, these noises are not renovations. This is an earthquake. Listen what she did. She once again returned to the security guard and asked to call the police, this time reporting an earthquake. This is a very loud noise, she told him. There was a very loud noise, she told him. Why is she not telling about the abyss opening up? So I have a little problem with that. But Nira then quickly returned to her condo and woke her 15-year-old so the apartment elevators are working. I don't think she went upstairs, did she? She returned to her condo. So the elevators were working, she went upstairs. So, and 25-year-old child, her husband, and other children were out of town. She urged them to leave the house as fast as they could. We left the building within a minute and started running down the street as far as we could, she said. I heard a huge noise behind me. So, and turned around, she's added a huge cloud of dust. All right. So we have the collapse now, not 8-minute collapse. With her story we added in, we now have a collapse that took place over time of approximately, we have 7, let me get my brain right. What time do we have the collapse at one room is showing at 1:20 or something. So we have a collapse that's taken approximately 40 minutes to take place. 40 minutes, I would say. I want to add this to the data there. There approximately 40 minutes that this collapse took place. I don't know what I did there. That was interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to do a screen. I might have stumbled on something I need. Nothing I need. All right, so we got a collapse that's taking approximately 40. I can't get rid of it either. Oh, worse than that, I can't even change tabs. All right, Phil, I'm going to put Phil's comment down there. I'm going to end the video like that because I can't change tabs that I accidentally opened up this down here. I can stop the screen recording. This is weird because I think it's still recording. Oh, it's a recording over recording? I'm going to end the video. Look, this shows that the collapse approximately took 40 minutes per her timeline. Take care, guys. Bye. Oh, I'm going to stop it down here then.